Has 30 rank play tips to help you guys improve no matter what level you are. Stay to the end because there's a few bonus tips at the end of the video. Tip number one is going to be your field of view. As you see, we're landing in the game right now. We're actually using 120. This is because I just came from Warzone, and my biggest tip, my biggest suggestion is for multiplayer, do not play on 120. As you can see right now, okay, the map is quite stretched out. You can see we're getting some okay shots off, but to be honest, the targets look a lot smaller than they should, right? So when you're playing Warzone, the reason you want it on 120 is just because how big the map is. Now, my biggest recommendation is to play between 95 and 105. That's what most of the pros play on. Me personally, I like 103. I think it's a nice little sweet spot. And as you can see now, the opponents, they just look a lot larger, and especially because you're winning these gunfights such close range, it's a lot easier to kind of have these gunfights with lower FOV. And I think the biggest advantage for me personally is when you're sitting on a head glitch and somebody else is also on a head glitch, I just feel like with 120 FOV, sometimes it gets a little bit difficult to fight them, but with 103 for me, that's a sweet spot. So definitely recommend playing between 95 and 103. So now you got your FOV sorted, the next thing you want to do is go over to the controller settings, go over to advanced, and this bit here, invert, slide, and dive behavior. Just as an extra little tip, if I was you, I would put this to your favorite. I mean, you're going to keep it as this anyways, but just have this as your favorite. This way, any setting you do like to change, you can always go to your favorite setting. And here you go. You want this actually on inverted, right? When it's on standard, what happens is if you press your right analog stick, what happens is you actually end up sliding, okay? But in this game, especially in Modern Warfare 2 for Warzone and for multiplayer, right, you actually want to Dolphin Dive instead of sliding. The sliding mechanic just isn't as good. So maybe in Modern Warfare 3 would probably change it, but for now you definitely want to put this on inverted. So if you go back to settings, go back to quick settings, put this on inverted. Now what happens is when I just, you know, run and I just tap the right analog stick, I actually end up dolphin diving, and this is so beneficial, and we'll go through the later tips in the game why you need to dolphin dive a lot more in your gameplay. But for now, make sure to switch that. So when you're going through into gunfights, if you want to slide, you hold your right stick. If you want to dolphin dive, you just basically go through, you tap your dolphin dive, and it'll make it a lot easier to maneuver around the map. Next thing you want to do is, let me go back to the settings and go through our automatic tac sprint. Again, some of these settings you might have from the old CODs, but before I used to play automatic tac sprint, and what this does is as you move, you can see I'm basically sprinting down constantly. Now this was great in Warzone 1 and Vanguard and stuff like that, but in this recent Call of Duty, it's actually not as good. And in the beginning, I used to play like this on, and to be honest, it's not terrible, but a lot of the pros have actually switched. Now, before I kind of break this one down, in the CDL, I believe that automatic tac sprint is banned, so I actually don't know what they play, but in terms of, you know, the Warzone pros and just overall, this is what I recommend, okay? So if you guys play Warzone or multiplayer, I recommend playing on automatic sprint. What this does is if you walk, you can see I'm actually walking. Now the reason why this is beneficial is because say I go around this corner, I kill this bot, okay, the bot kills me. Say I'm going around this corner, right, and I know somebody's here. I don't really want to be running with my gun up because I want to kind of go through, I want to shoulder it, I want to make sure I can see him. So if you have your gun like this, what you can do is you can go through, you can shoulder like this, and you can peek out like this. However, if you're running, you can see right there I'm running and my gun's up in the air. So you don't ever want to be caught in like this. You kind of want to be caught out, like you want to walk around like this basically. You want to walk around with your gun in your hand, so that way you can go through, you can hip fire, and you just have a lot more control of your gunfight. If you're running like this constantly, what happens if you see an opponent, you have to stop for a second and aim in, and those 1 or 2 seconds can definitely cause some more deaths in your gameplay. So make sure to change that to automatic sprint. All right, next setting here, well, this one definitely applies to your controller. So me personally, okay, I use a scuff controller. So what that means is, let me go to my controller settings. So we'll go through sensitivity in a second, but for now, in our actual controller settings, where is it? Where is button? There you go. So you guys want to go to this button layout, okay? First of all, it depends on your controller. If you have a scuff, my biggest recommendation is to play tactical flipped. If you don't have a scuff, that's absolutely fine, okay? What you want to do is, by the way, in the past, I've been playing Call of Duty for about 12 years now. In the past, I've actually done a thing where I used to play default before I had a scuff, and to be honest, I couldn't really jump shot. So I always relied on the drop shot, and it just really kind of limited my game. So you want to be able to rely on the jump shot as well, because it's such a crucial mechanic. So what I recommend, if you don't have a scuff, either get a controller which has a cheap kind of paddle at the back, which you can probably find from Amazon. But again, if you just want a default controller the cheapest way possible, my biggest recommendation is to use one of these settings, right? Look on the right, you see where it says the jump button. We want the jump button to be somewhere besides A. Let's try to find somewhere. Let's try to find the jump on the right stick. So, okay, cool. Stick and move. Now, the reason why I think this is so good, okay, because right now I'm just playing normal. I'm not using my paddle. I can go through and I can jump with my right analog stick. So, right, again, my aim's a little bit off now because obviously I don't really do this, but it's actually very smooth. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. If I was playing without a scuff, I would probably do this, man. I'll probably play stick and move. Oh, I have to get used to the buttons there. But yeah, you can see right now, obviously you can't see my controller, right? But I'm moving, okay? And the reason why you don't want to keep your analog stick off the A button, the reason why you don't want to leave your thumb off the A button is because what happens is if you move it to the A button, right, and then you get it off your right stick, you end up losing your accuracy, because you have to think about it. You have to take a second to go through, you have to press the A button, and then when you press the A button, you have to return to your right analog stick. So it's not as smooth. So if you guys are trying to improve and you don't have a scuff controller and you just want to be able to jump shot, I highly recommend trying this controller setting. Let me go back on it. Yeah, stick and move. I think stick and move, I just tried it now and it's actually pretty good. So I highly recommend trying stick and move. Again, there's quite a lot of kind of custom button layouts. If you want to try something else, go for it. But I always recommend trying to jump with your right stick, leaving your A button. The reason why is because you want your right thumb to always constantly be on the right stick, and you don't want to have to move it off to jump. It's just a lot easier to keep your gun in control. And there you go. Next, kind of going on to nicely, will be the controller setting. So sensitivity. What is sensitivity and why is it so important? Well, let's go to 2020 for a second, just to show you guys a bit of an insight. Now, of course, you can see I'm not playing on 2020. Now, I look insane, okay? I look absolutely cracked. You see, we go through, we're making some, okay shots. We're going through. But as you can see, my centering is all over the place. Now, again, I'm not missing many shots from thing, but my overall centering is just all over the place. This is what happens with high sensitivity. Now, the good thing is, if I get used to this sensitivity, right, I'll be able to kind of constantly go back and forward. I'll be able to take this guy out, go this guy quickly. So you can see, if I practice, it's actually a good sensitivity. But when you're playing at the highest level against people that have great shots, for example, these guys are just bots, right? I'm literally in a bot lobby. So obviously, it's not going to be the hardest lobby, but if you go up against players that have better shots, right, every millisecond, so right now, look at this, as I go through, as I try to adjust to this kill, as I go left like this, you see how I overextend my left stick? This opponent here will probably kill me a lot quicker. So you see right now I'm getting away with it because we're only playing bots. You might get away with it in like public matches or Warzone or bots, but if you go up against players at a good level, I think you're definitely going to get caught out. So this kind of leads on to the next tip as well, which is practicing your centering. So what you want to do is you want to find a sensitivity, and I'm going to put these two together, where your centering is basically at its best. So what centering is, you see this little crosshair in the middle, you want your crosshair to be where you expect the opponents to be. So right here, look at this, I'm expecting my opponent, because I can see the mini-map, to come through here. So I'm actually going to sit here and I'm going to aim in and kill him. Well, I didn't kill him, but you see what I mean? Like you basically want your crosshair to be at the position before you even take the gunfight. That way, when you're going for a gunfight, you're actually ready for it before you have to move. What a lot of people do when I'm coaching subscribers and all other stuff is they run around like this, okay? I want to find an opponent. Now look at this. As soon as I find an opponent, look, I have to look up and then shoot him, right? So you see my initial aim is low. This is what a lot of people do. They run like this. Again, it's very natural, so don't like, if you do this, it's not the end of the world, but just want to change a slight thing. If you're running around the map like this, right, what happens is when you spot an opponent, think about it, he's not going to be on the floor. When you spot an opponent like the guy in front of me, I have to look up and correct my aim. Again, against a better player who's going to be centered onto me, all he has to do is kind of aim in and get the shots off. So look at the difference now with my good centering. So this is when your centering is like a bit better. Again, I'm playing bots, so nothing crazy, but this is just how I practice my centering, right? I try to aim towards the chest area. Me personally, I think like if you aim towards the chest or the head area, it's just really good habit, because especially with the headshot multiplier, you're able to get those extra kills. You see right here, we go through, able to get the kill. So even if you take some time, right, if you go through, just trying to center onto the opponents where you think their chest or their head's going to be. So right now we go around this corner, look at that, I aim in. Again, I missed a few shots there. Again, just a bot lobby, just trying to practice my centering, but you can see, okay, cool, how can I improve my centering right there? So I know he's going to be around this corner, so let me go around. We aim for the chest. Okay, all these bots are dying. We aim for the chest. There you go. We see this guy, we take him out. Perfect. Now, if I was aiming at the floor right there, I would have had to take an extra second or two to go up. So make sure that your centering is on point. So important. Probably the biggest game mechanic tip I could say is to work on your centering. Now, the reason why sensitivity comes hand in hand with your centering is because as you go around corners like this, right, you want to be able to like snap onto the target, and you don't want your aim to be kind of all over the place. So you want your centering and your sensitivity to be hand in hand, right? Your sensitivity is essentially the tool that unlocks your centering. So if I'm playing on 6.6 right now, you can see it's very, not slow, but it's quite stiff in a good way, right? In a way that I can control where I'm going. I know exactly where my stick is going. And you can see right here, if I want to snap to the left, I do that. Snap to the right, I do that. Like, I'm it's very easy to control on 6.6, and this is why a lot of pros kind of play on this sensitivity, because first of all, you can control the snapping. It's like, it's a decent speed, it's not too slow, not too fast, and at the same time, your centering is very, very good with it. Now, if you think your shot is amazing and you want to kind of up that sensitivity, there's definitely advantages. So again, it's kind of personal preference. I would always recommend for people at a lower level just to start with 6.6. Get comfortable with that before you try playing on 15.15. Let's say you're a silver player, right? And you're struggling with your shot, but you're playing at like 15.15. I'll be like, cool. My biggest advice would be start with 6.6 and make your way up from there. So now we've gone through a couple of the settings, right? You should be ready to play, but before we step into the game, let's go through recoil control. So what is recoil and why is it important? Well, every single weapon has a natural recoil. What this means is when you shoot the weapon, so this is me just shooting the weapon, you can see the gun's going up and towards the right, okay? Now, a lot of you guys do watch my channel, obviously know what recoil is because it's more of a kind of competitive rank play challenge. But for anyone that doesn't understand recoil, that's absolutely fine. Let's break it down here. What you want to do is you want to basically counteract the way the recoil goes. So right now you can see how much my gun's moving, right? It's because it's going up and to the right. So as I shoot now, I'm actually going to go with my right analog stick because this is what controls the recoil, okay? What you want to do is as you're shooting, you want to go down and towards the left. Now look how different it is. You can see the spread, right? Look how close it is. This time it's literally around there, where before it was up to there. I think if we try it on the door, we'll be able to see it a bit more clear. So we're going to start off by aiming at the handle there. Look how my gun goes up, right? It's going up a bit to the right, and you can see it's kind of all over the place. But now we're going to try to leave the aim at this door handle. So you see we're going to go through, and you can see it's very, very similar to the door handle, very, very close together, and that's exactly what you want to do. So that applies to bots as well, right? So let's say this is an opponent, and I shoot without controlling. You see, we get one kill, we go through, like, it's not bad, obviously, we're still getting the kill, but you can see our guns kickings all over the place, right? So what you want to do is go through, you want to jump around the corner, you want to control your recoil, shoot enough bullets, control it, and you can see it's a lot more, you know, a lot more efficient. At range, it's obviously a little bit harder, but you guys get the tip, right? Now, the next thing you want to do with controlling your recoil is using aim assist. So what happens is, it's going to be a little bit hard to show you guys with bots, but there's a few ways to control your aim assist, okay? One, you get this little initial ADS snap on. If you can just kind of aim in and get that little snap onto the opponent, you get a little, I can't speak English, you get a little initial boost of aim assist, okay? That's why a lot of pros kind of do this. You go around, as soon as you kind of aim into a person, you get a little snap onto them, okay? So you see right here, look at this. If I aim around there, I get a little snap, a little boost onto them. But the biggest tip for aim assist is more than anything, if you guys can learn from this video, is this bit here. You want to strafe while shooting, because what happens is when you strafe, okay, your aim assist, obviously you can't see, but I can feel it right now. I'm just strafing and it's sticking onto the opponent. So I'm not touching anything else right now. And I think you guys can see it as well, right? Can you see how it's kind of sticking onto the opponent? Again, it's a little bit difficult to show you. It's more of like a feel right now, but as I'm going around, it's actually sticking onto the bot right now. So definitely something you guys want to implement into your game. While you're shooting, you want to make sure you're strafing. This way you're improving your aim assist. Now to combine them both together, your shot will be amazing. What you want to do is go around corners. As you're shooting a bot, right, you want, oh, I don't know why I keep saying bot. As you're shooting anyone, okay, you want to shoot. While you're shooting, you want to strafe left and right. And while you're strafing left and right, you want to be controlling that aim assist. So you want to basically be going down to the left. And that's how you kind of maximize your aim. So right now, look at this. We're going through, we're strafing. And as we're strafing, we're going down to the left. Now, another advantage of strafing, okay, isn't just that you maximize your aim assist. Think about it. If I'm just standing still and I'm shooting bots like this, obviously it's good, right? But I'm a standing target. So if, for example, if that second player there was able to shoot me, he'll be able to kill me. However, if I'm jumping around corners, you know, strafing, making myself a harder target to hit, what's happening is I'm maximizing my aim assist while also making myself a harder target to hit. So you want to make sure you utilize a strafe for two advantages, one for aim assist and one just to make yourself a harder target to hit. Now we're going to go through something I like to call the Dashy Shot. So what this is going to be is basically Dashy shoots, the way he shoots bots, okay, let's see how many bullets it takes to kill this bot. 1, 2, 3, okay, 3 bullets, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to try to shoot exactly 3 bullets. That way we're not wasting any more bullets. And you can see what happens, right? As you go through, you shoot 3 bullets and it basically allows for a lot smoother recoil control. It's really weird because in the game, you wouldn't think this. You would always think, you know, shooting more is better. But if you can get into a habit of kind of just shooting enough bullets to kill your opponents, this is a really good way of practicing. Look at that last bot at the back, right? It was so much easier to kill him when shooting only 3 bullets. Because I'm only shooting 3 bullets, right? What happens is when I stop, my aim essentially recenters onto the middle. So if I miss my first 3 and I start again, I essentially have another chance to kind of maximize that aim assist. You see, we go through it. Honestly, it's so much smoother. Like, watch this. You see, I missed quite a lot of bullets there, but it's still smoother than just shooting normally. If I was to shoot normally like this, you can see I'm actually missing a lot more. So we go through the back, you can see like it's sometimes a little bit difficult, right? You see when you're strafing, it's a little bit difficult. So what I like to do is use a dashy technique. I go through, I shoot 3 bullets at a time, I stop, aim back out, shoot again, kind of like that. And it's just a really good way of maximizing your aim assist and also just holding that recoil. Because what happens is when you shoot and you stop, you look at this, I'm going to shoot and then stop. You see how it goes straight to the middle? So if you think about it, right? If you're shooting, you know, 3 bullets at a time, and then going back to the middle, I'm not even controlling my recoil right now and it's naturally going back to the middle. So it's a really good tip for you guys that maybe struggle with your aim, especially at that medium to long range gunfights. If someone's on a head glitch, I always recommend trying this dashy technique. It's just a great way of improving your shot. We're almost into the more advanced stuff, but for now you kind of got through a lot of mechanics, okay? So the next thing you want to do is go into a private game and practice. Practice makes perfect, and this is where all your ingredients are going to tie in together, right? This is where you want to go into the private game, practice everything we speak about, and just really get your mechanics underway. The reason why I say practice is so important, okay, because I always like to look at the best player in the industry, and for me in this Call of Duty, right, Dashy has the best shot in the game, okay? So I look at Dashy and I see, what does he do better than everyone else? Well, one thing I always notice he does is he shoots bots. He shoots a shit ton of bots, okay? So what I like to do is I like to replicate that. I like to go through and see, okay, if Dashy shoots bots and he's got the best aim in the game, surely I need to be doing the same thing. And the more bots I shoot, the more confident I am with my aim. You can see we're trying some of these tactics here. You can try different things. So right now we're going to go through, we're going to try the little 3-shot. We're going to just try everything. And by this is like my first game on, so I haven't really played. So it's always a good like kind of idea just to shoot some bots, get used to the game, get used to the mechanics, and just really have a feel for the game before you jump into the rank play. You want to try to get that rhythm right so that when you play rank play, you're ready for the gunfight. Okay, let's get into the gameplay and see how some more tips to help us improve. This next tip is going to tie everything together. This is the class setup you need. Without the class setup, your gameplay is irrelevant. Okay, so there's 3 main weapons I highly recommend you guys trying out. Before we get into those weapons and break down the attachments, there's one actually really good weapon. The reason I don't personally use this is because, well, it's just not allowed in the CDL. So I kind of like to play with the pro rules, especially because I want to play competitive, like, you know, GBs or 8s or just other competitive tournaments. So for me, I like to practice with the pro rules, so just so that I'm used to it, and if it comes to it, I can always play with those rules. So the first one you want to do is get a submachine gun class. This is the Vaznev, my main Vaznev build. Let's go through the attachments last. So you're going to start off, I used a knife, okay? The reason why is because with the pistol, I don't think you need it with the Vaznev, because the Vaznev is kind of small gun anyways, a submachine gun. So the reason most people have a pistol is because you have an assault rifle, so you want something like that close range gunfights. Now for me, Vaznev is going to be close range anyway, so I don't think you need a pistol. I like to use a stun because that's the only option. And out of the 2, Semtex and Frag, well, I think Semtex is good. The reason why I think Semtex is good as a submachine gun player is because a lot of your gunfights are going to be close combat. You're not going to have time to cook a frag grenade. I think frag grenades are more for search and destroy and more for when you got some time to make a decision. For me, Semtex is a way to go. Then I like to use rank 2. The reason why I like to use rank 2 is because I think battle hardened, to be honest, is a little bit more effective for me personally than bomb squad. I think stuns and flashes are way more annoying for a submachine gun player, so that's the reason. Again, you can have multiple classes and try it. Again, dead silence, I think if you're making plays with a submachine gun, dead silence is an absolute must. Unless you're just really soaking the hill, then I recommend a trophy system. But one thing I would always say is have multiple classes, okay? Because you see I've got one Vaznev, I don't actually have it here, but I normally have a Vaznev class with a pistol. The reason I have a pistol on this Vaznev class is because when I'm playing Hydro or Embassy, right? On Embassy, you want to go up the ladder. On Hydro, if you're going in the water, you want to be able to use a pistol to make plays. So always have enough classes for different scenarios. And I could also have, you know, a trophy system. Maybe I play a bit more of the objective and I want a trophy system. So make sure to utilize your classes and have enough. Then we go over to the attachment. So I use a Spiral V3.5. We got the FSS Shark Fin, got the Ultrazat stock, and the True Tac grip. This is for all my Vaznev classes, pretty standard if you guys want to screenshot that. Then we go over to the AR, the Cardinal stock Tac 56. So same thing you can see, but a slight difference here. Again, we use a pistol. If anyone wants my pistol attachments, there you go. We use a pistol just to make it a little bit easier for myself, as I mentioned, those close range gunfights when I'm kind of running around the map if I want a pistol. And then instead of using battle hardened, I like to use bomb squad because you're mainly on head glitches, you're mainly on power positions. People are going to try to take you out with grenades, so you want to use bomb squad, very important. And then we go through again, frag grenade. I definitely change between the two. I think as an assault rifle, sometimes I prefer frag grenade. As I mentioned, you have more time to cook it. It's kind of easier to make plays with the frag grenade from distance. And I actually have 2 classes. So as you can see, one's with a trophy system, one's with dead silence. So when I'm using dead silence, I like to use a pistol, just kind of roam around the map. If I need to make a play close range, I'll pop a deadie, run with a pistol, try to get some kills. If I'm playing a bit more slow, I probably should have a frag grenade on this one, to be honest, and a Semtex on this one, just because it kind of matches a playstyle more. This is my kind of sitting back, anchoring spawns kind of playstyle. You see, we're going to go through, again, I probably could have a pistol, but I like to kind of, if I'm in a rush to get to spawn, sometimes I like having a knife just because I can move a little bit faster, a bit more mobile. Same thing, frag grenade, stun grenade, gonna have the same attachments, and this time we have a trophy system. Again, you can see there's different classes for different scenarios, so let's go through and break down the attachments. Now, one difference here is if you want, you can use X-Line. The reason I prefer Cardinal is because this gives you a bit more strafe, where X-Line gives you a bit more of a snappy, faster ADS. Again, up to you. I prefer Cardinal. I've tried them both, and I'm just used to Cardinal now. This is my class setup. So we got the RF Crown 50, the Commando foregrip, the high velocity, the demo clean shot grip, and the Cardinal stock. So the pros, what they normally do is, I think they don't have a muzzle, and they actually have to use this one. Well, this barrel is actually really bad for the gun. It actually doesn't help it. So I actually have no barrel. I use RF Crown, and it's just a lot more mobile, and it's actually more of a flex build. So this build, in my opinion, is the best build for the Tac 56. Make sure to screenshot and try it out for yourself. Then we go over to the Vel 46. Now, this one's actually really fun. So it's very similar to the Vaznev, exactly the same actually, and besides the weapon. So everything else is very similar. As I mentioned, the kind of same same reasoning, to be honest, like stun grenade, you know, knife, all that good stuff. But these are the attachments I have for the Veil, and I think this Veil is a lot of fun, probably the best SMG, probably better than the Vaznev, to be honest. It's just very mobile. When you actually use the Veil, it's so small, right, that you can actually maneuver around the map so much quicker, and you can kind of jump around corners and stuff. I just feel like it's very, very mobile, very, very good weapon, and I highly recommend you try and get out. These are the attachments on the screen now. Into tip number 12. Now, this one is quite a small thing, but it can make all the difference. When you go into a game, especially when playing solo queue, you want to, at the start, look what your teammates are running and try to act accordingly, right? Let me give you a scenario. You got teammates, 3 of them all running assault rifles. You don't want to be the 4th AR player, and this is where it comes into hand. This is why you need to practice with every single weapon, so you have a good range of motion and you're able to act accordingly. Let's say your team have 3 assault rifles and you also run an AR. Overall, your team's going to be quite sluggish, you're going to be quite slow and not get to the positions as quick as you want. So what you want to do is try to act accordingly, try to bring out submachine gun just to increase that team pacing, as well with vice versa. Say your team all have submachine guns and you start the lobby, you look around, there's 3 Vaznems on the map, you probably want to have a Tac 56 out. That way you're having a bit more of a balance, because you know somebody probably won't be going for spawns and you need to play that role. This is my biggest tip for solo queue. Make sure to act accordingly depending on what your teammates are running, and try to be the most impactful and the biggest team player. Now, this takes us so nicely into the next tip, tip number 13. This is to change your playstyle in the middle of the match if it's not working, okay? This is so important, and this, to be honest, isn't really a tip where I can give you a specific formula, but this is about trying different things and seeing what works for you. I'm going to give you something that works for me. Hopefully you guys can apply it into your own game. When I'm playing hardpoint, I look after the first rotation of heals, right? So once every single heal has gone through once, I look at the game and I think, okay, have I played to my potential? And if the answer is yes, but we're still losing, then I ask myself, okay, is there something I could do different that could help us win? And most of the times I say yes. If, for example, we're down by 50 points after the first rotation, I will look at the game and think, okay, I'm currently running a submachine gun. I'm getting as many kills as I feel like I'm going to be getting for the rest of the game. So what that means to me is if I do the same thing for the next rotation, we're still going to end up losing the game, right? Because we're down by 50. However, if the game's even and I say, you know what, this just comes down to a few more clutch kills, I might stick out with a submachine gun. But if I feel like, you know what, I think the team needs somebody, you know, holding spawns a bit more, I realize that we're lacking on the spawn department, I will whip out an AR, get the Tac 56, try to change the pacing and try to help the team out in that way. And the exact same with the other scenario as well. So if I'm playing with the assault rifle and I just realize that, you know what, we have a lot of power positions, but there's just not enough aggression on the map. Like, we really need to increase the pacing. I'll bring out a submachine gun, maybe a Veil, maybe a Vaznev, just to increase that overall team pacing. And it's honestly up to you. My biggest advice would be play around with it maybe halfway through the game. That's a good kind of measure, because you don't want to do it too early, right, where you haven't got enough data to know if your current area is going to work. But at the same time, you don't want to do it on the last hard point of the game, because that might be a little bit too late. Sorry, too little too late. So have a play around with it, but my biggest advice would be changing your playstyle throughout the game depending on what your team needs. In Control, it's a great way as well. Maybe after the 3rd or 4th round, you can be like, okay, you know what, it's going quite mixy. I think my team needs a bit more aggression. Let's whip out a submachine gun for the last round. So play around with it and see what works. Call of Duty is a game of mechanics, but at the same time, a massive part of it is timings. Now, what timings are, especially in Search and Destroy, I'd say this is the most important, but it also applies to respawn. Timings are basically how long it takes for you to get from one position to another, and essentially how your opponent will react to where you are, and vice versa, how you react to your opponent, okay? Someone who has the best timing in the game, in my opinion, is Shotzi. I think his timing is perfect. When you watch him play, the way he flanks opponents, he really gets his timings down to a T. And when studying him and watching him, one thing I've realized is that he actually works on his timing. So again, a lot of pros do this, but what you want to do, okay, when you're playing rank play, especially off the break, especially at the start of the game, is you want to work on your timing. So I think this is more important for Modern Warfare 3 as you guys prepare, because we're near the end of the cycle, but you want to basically see how long it takes you to get from your starting spawn to a power position, right, or anywhere across the map. That way, you know, when the next game starts, and for example, you spawn on the other side, you know, okay, it takes them 8 seconds to get from the spawn to point A. So what that tells me is if you push through in 5 seconds, okay, in the next 3 seconds, be prepared for this gunfight. Same thing, if you get there in 7 seconds, in your head, you should mentally know, okay, there's going to be an opponent any second now. And I think this is really important for hardpoint as well, because when you're rotating, if you know roughly how far a spawn is from the rotation, you can kind of play around it and you can say, okay, you know what, this might take him about 15 seconds to get to this certain alleyway. I'm going to push through, and in 8 seconds I'm going to start to pre-aim him. So it's just kind of working out different timings, and if you die and you say, you know what, he got there very quick, you can watch the kill cam and say, okay, cool, he got there quicker than me. What route did he take? What did he do? And these are just small changes you can implement into your game to hopefully help you overall. We're finally here. We're halfway through the guide. If you guys are enjoying so far, make make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Tip number 15, this one's going to be one of my favorites, using equipment effectively. Now, we're going to be talking about stun grenades, frag grenades, and semtexes, okay? This bit's so important. There's so many times I'm coaching subscribers and I mentioned this one. It's just about using your equipment effectively. In this game, okay, with the time to kill being so quick, there's going to be times where somebody's going to be on a head glitch, right? And you want to get every single advantage that you can get. And in order to do so, you need to be using your equipment. Now, I've actually coached some people. They've said the reason they don't use their equipment is, one, people use trophy systems, right? So they have a feeling that, you know, there's not really a point using your equipment. And I understand that. But then my argument to that was, imagine there's a hill that you're trying to break and there's a trophy system in the hill, okay? If you and your 3 teammates, so 4 of you use your equipment, that's 8 pieces of equipment thrown at that trophy system. So what happens is, as the first 4 pieces, as the first 6 pieces enter the room, it actually destroys the trophy system. So eventually, you're going to wear out that trophy and you're going to be able to get the kill with your equipment. Another thing is, stuns just slow the enemies down. You guys know, okay, from experience, how many times have you been stunned in a game and it is the worst feeling ever. So if you know how annoying that feeling is, why are you not doing it yourself? Second thing is, you can use equipment for information. One of my favorite things to do is when I'm watching multiple alleyways, multiple doors, I like to use my equipment for information. I like to kind of go around and say, okay, where are my opponents going to be? Well, it looks like my opponent's going to be in the left alley or the right alley. Okay, what I'm going to do is chuck a stun on the left, nade the right. That way I've covered both angles, and it just allowed you to be in multiple areas at one time. So start using your equipment more and it will help you out so much. After you get better with your equipment, we're going to move on to something a bit more technical. This is your trophy system and dead silence. Now, it's not just about using these are kind of like your special equipment, something that you don't get as often, and you want to make sure you're utilizing this. Okay, so starting off with the trophy system. Trophy system is so crucial. As we mentioned how kind of powerful equipments are, this is kind of the other end. These are the protections from your equipment. So if you're an assault rifle player or a submachine gun player that's maybe sitting in the hill, you want to make sure you're utilizing trophy systems in areas where you think the most projectiles are going to come in. Okay, so if you're sitting on a hard point and you're maybe snaking a head glitch, most of the time you're going to be in a really good spot. Unless they chuck a stun over or chuck a nade over, you're probably good to go. So why not help yourself out? Why not give yourself some extra reinforcements and chuck a trophy system at your feet? So trophy systems are very useful, but the biggest thing you don't want to do is you don't want to waste it. Okay, you don't want to use it. For example, if there's a scrap time of 5 seconds left, don't chuck a trophy there. You know, go for the rotation, and when you set up, maybe chuck a trophy, help your teammates out. Same thing with a dead silence. You want to use it in the optimal position. If you just spawned up and you have to travel for 30 seconds, that's probably not the best use of a dead silence. However, if you're making a play, maybe in search and destroy or respawn, you're flanking an enemy, you know, you don't want to be heard, maybe that's the time to use your dead silence and make a play. Another thing is, make sure to utilize these equipment, like make sure to actually use them, because you get them back, and I've seen so many people actually just not use them for like half the game and essentially just keep it for nothing, and when they probably could have restocked it 3 or 4 times. Okay, now let's go through some broken mechanics that you guys need to use into your game. So firstly, we're going to do is show you 2 ways how to reset your Tac Sprint. So method number 1 is to Dolphin Dive. When you Dolphin Dive, you automatically, let me get my weapon out, it's a lot easier. So you see we're kind of running like this. This is not Tac Sprint because we're running and my gun is like on the floor. You want to run like this to Tac Sprint, okay? You want your gun in the air. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you always have to be careful because when you're approaching an opponent, you don't want your weapon in the air. So let's take out this bot right here. Now, cool. What you want to do, okay, is as you run around, you want to Dolphin Dive, and that will actually allow you to reset your Tac Sprint. So as you go through, you Dolphin Dive, reset your Tac Sprint, Dolphin Dive, reset your Tac Sprint. Again, make sure to use this carefully. Make sure to use this in certain scenarios. For example, right here, if I'm going through this corner, if I know somebody's right there, I'll go into cover, and then I might kind of go through. If I know somebody's there, I'll go into cover, stuff like that. So always use your Dolphin Dive to 1, get into cover, and 2, to basically reset your tactical sprint. That way, as if you're trying to run across the map, you're a lot faster and it's a lot easier to maneuver around the map. So let's go through, take this spot out here. So that's one way to reset your Tac Sprint. Now, if you don't really feel like Dolphin Dive every time, there's also another way, which is very simple. What you want to do is, as you're running like this, if you feel like your Tac Sprint is going to run out, go through, just chuck a melee and go through again. Go for a melee and go through again. Every time you melee, you're automatically resetting your tactical sprint and allows you to go so much faster. So very good tip. Probably a bit faster than the Dolphin Dive. The reason I like the Dolphin Dive is because if I can use it correctly, for example, right here, if I know an opponent's on my left, I'll Dolphin Dive into cover. So like right here, if I'm going through, if I spot the opponent there, I'll actually Dolphin Dive into cover, then I'll go through, I'll snake it, and I'll take him out. So it's just a really good way of kind of utilizing your equipment, utilizing the natural cover. And for me personally, I prefer the Dolphin Dive, but feel free to use both into your game game just makes it a lot easier to kind of run around the map and make sure you utilize that tactical sprint. Then what you want to do here is Dolphin Dive to basically camera your opponents, okay? So what cameraing is a mechanic that we're going to talk about in a minute, but basically you want to, it's going to look a lot more impressive on their screen than yours. So as you go through a corner, as you jump through or do anything kind of crazy, on your screen it doesn't look as insane, but on their screen it looks like basically they see you a second after they should, and you're able to get a shot off before they even see you. So what I like to do here is, if you're going to spots like this, okay, where you know you're on top of like a building, so I go through, let's say I jump up top here and I see my enemy. Let me kill this guy. I see my enemy standing right there, okay? I like to Dolphin Dive off, and then I like to shoot him. So I want him to kill me so you can see how he looks. Let's try again. Let's use this guy as a little guinea pig. So we go through, you want to kind of go through and Dolphin Dive off, and then if he can kill me anytime, bro, anytime. Go on, bro. Just ruin my video. Yep, don't worry about it. Just ruin my video. Take your time. So if you look at the kill cam here, okay, he took way too long to kill me. So that is a bit of a fail. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Let's go through again and just kind of show you. I'll show you some gameplay from the enemy's POV anyways. But yeah, what you want to do is you want to go through. You basically want to Dolphin Dive off. As you Dolphin Dive, you kind of land on the floor and you're able to just take them out. It's a lot smoother. And if you actually hit your legs off the ledge, what happens is when you land, your gun is ready. Okay, let me show you a different variation. If you just do this, you see it takes you a second to kind of get up and shoot, right? But if you do this, oh, this is not the weapon I want. But yeah, if you do this, you hit your legs off the ledge. You see, as you land, you're actually ready for the gunfight. So one of the best additions to the game, in my opinion, is a Dolphin Dive off the ledge. Make sure to utilize that in your gameplay. So now, hopefully, you're a lot more familiar with a Dolphin Dive as we show you some gameplay. What you want to do now is a double Dolphin Dive, okay? So as you Dolphin Dive off, you, oh, see, right there. You see how I messed it up? So it's all about the timing, okay? To be honest, most of the time, I'm pretty good with it, but sometimes, on the occasion, we mess up. And there you go. You jump, and as you land, you want to jump again. So what that does is gives you a little extra boost, and it's essentially like a little Dolphin Dive to the side. So I jump off. As I land, I jump again. You see that little bunny hop? Hopefully you can kill me. But these guys are not very good, I can't lie to you. I know they're bots and you know, but they're just not really helping me out in my little tutorial here. But what you want to do, I'll try to get some gameplay with it. But as you go through, you know, Dolphin Dive, as you jump through, you want to land. There you go. Please kill me. Please. Bro, these guys are making me lose full. Hopefully you guys get the point anyways, and we'll try to find it in some gameplay. This next technique is a pretty simple one. It's been around for the longest of times, but you guys just need a little reminding potentially. Make sure you do, you know, can't speak English, make sure you guys utilize the drop shot in your game. Now, the reason why the drop shot is so beneficial in my opinion is because sometimes when people go around, especially if you take my tips earlier about focusing on centering, right? Sometimes when you go around corners, you're so focused on the center. You see right now, I'm focused on like the chest and the head area. You sometimes forget to look on the floor. So if opponents kind of catching you off guard, like right here, if they're coming around the corner, sometimes they're just gonna run across, they're gonna do this, and they're not gonna really look at the floor. So the reason why the drop shot is so impressive, as I mentioned, is because you can just catch people off guard. Again, this is the bot, so it's gonna be a little bit easier, but you can see, right, if you go around a corner, sometimes if you kind of just go through, you kind of just drop shot around the corner, it's so easy to kind of catch people off guard. So right now, instead of jumping around, if I kind of drop shot around the corner, you see we get a nice little angle on them, right? Again, I'll show you some real gameplay, but the drop shot is such an impressive technique to use because it's so simple. It's been around for the longest of times, but the reason why it's always been around is because it's so beneficial. It's so good to use because most of the time, people won't expect you to be on the floor. If you can do the drop shot correctly and really plan it well, you'll be able to get some kills without them even seeing you. And then from the drop shot, this will take us into our next technique, and this technique is called the prone double jump. This is basically, in my opinion, the advanced version of a drop shot. I feel like in this Call of Duty, you don't really need to drop shot only. I feel like that's quite a standard way to win a gunfight. Again, it's very fine. I think the best way to do it is instead of actually drop shotting in a gunfight, I think maybe, you know, if you see somebody, if you're proning first and then do the double jump, I think it's a lot more beneficial. So what this prone double jump is by the way, this is my favorite mechanic in the game, and I'm so excited to show you guys. You want to go around a corner, or you want to see an opponent, and as you spot them, if for example this, let me find some opponent that I'm actually going to kill. Actually, doesn't matter, I'll show you guys some gameplay. But as we go around, okay, you want to go through, you want to basically go prone, and as you see that, you want to double jump. So let him kill me, and you're going to be able to see it from his POV. These guys take way too long. So on my screen, it didn't look too insane, right? But look at this. You see how I went from the floor position all the way to a jump position? It's such a good way of kind of utilizing your movement to win the gunfight. So right now, if I knew an opponent was pushing me, if this guy was pushing me, I'd back off, I'd prone. As he approached me, I'd double jump. So on my screen, I'm going straight from the prone position instantly to a jump position. Now, the way you do it, the mechanic, the button you need to press, which ties into our earlier button about this is why you don't want to change, why you want to make sure you're not playing on default, right? Is because you want to be able to double tap the jump button, and also be able to control your aim and everything else. So what you want to do is go prone, as you spot the opponent, double tap the jump button. Now, when you do this without pressing anything else, your aim will automatically go higher, right? So if you want to keep this centered, you want to basically, as you double jump, aim your aim a little bit lower. That way it's kind of centered onto where the opponent's going to be. Again, with practice, you should be good to go. Let's go through some clips and show you exactly how to use it in game. The next three mechanics we go to are very, very similar, but they are all very, very important in their own way, okay? The first one we're going to go through is going to be the standard jump shot. So as I mentioned with the drop shot, this has been around for years now, basically since the game's come out, and it's always a way to camera your opponents. It's always a good way to go through it. BZ is one of the best players in the world. He uses this constantly. I would say more than any other pro I've always seen. I think this guy just constantly jumps around the map, to be honest, and it's probably his best mechanic. But what you want to do, okay, is you want to basically, as you spawn an opponent, you want to try to jump shot. The reason why you want to jump shot, there's two ways. One, because say for example when an opponent is centering onto you here, okay, let's say he's centering onto you here. Let me get a weapon with a bit more ammo just to make it a little bit easier for you guys to understand this one. Again, we'll show you some gameplay as always and try to go through it. But if we go through, okay, if the opponent is coming in front of me, if I'm centering like this and he jumps straight away, if this guy jumps, my aim is going to be on his lower end of his body. So what that means is it's going to be a lot harder for me to hit headshots. Just as a kind of like common sense there, if he's going to jump, unless I aim my aim up, he's going to naturally be harder to hit for me. Because he's jumping, right? My aim, wherever I'm aiming to his head right there, is actually going to go toward his stomach area or his middle of his body area. And if I'm aiming for his chest and he jumps, I'm probably going to hit his lower waist area just because of how high you can jump. Now, what you want to do, okay, is you want to jump. The reason why you also want to jump is not only to make it harder for yourself to be a target to get hit, but what happens is you actually also make it easier for you to hit headshots. When you jump, your center of your aim naturally aims higher. So if you aim at somebody and you jump, you see right there, look at this. As I jump, you see I've actually naturally hit his head. Because when you jump, your crosshair goes higher. So you see right here, we go through, look at that, I get a headshot without actually aiming, without even trying. You just naturally aim higher, so you're always going to end up with a headshot. So if you compare those two things together, if you jump, one, to make yourself harder to hit, and two, to make your opponent's head easier to hit, you're just finding an instance where you're constantly being able to get headshots, you're constantly being able to avoid your opponents, and it's just a really good way of cameraing your opponents and basically guaranteeing that extra bit of momentum in the gunfight. Before this advanced movement, this was a standard movement in the game, and this got people through so many years, and it's just a very, very good mechanic. And again, it's something I probably don't do as much as my game. I don't just run around and just do normal jump shots, but I definitely should. You see right here, it's just such a good way of kind of getting headshots naturally, and definitely something I recommend you guys adding to your gameplay. So now we kind of spend some time going through the normal jump shot. Let's go through the two variations of jump shots. So there's normal jump shot we just went through, as we mentioned before. It's just kind of a normal one in the middle of a gunfight. Just kind of when you're fighting somebody, you want to go through a nice little jump shot. But there's two other variations, okay? One is called the short jump. Now, the short jump is very, very good in certain scenarios. So what the short jump is mainly used for is if, for example, somebody is on, like, say this head glitch there, okay? Or this is a pretty difficult challenge, but if somebody's on that head glitch there, what you don't want to do is you don't want to do this. You don't want to land and then aim at him. You don't want to land at this entrance here. You don't want to land like this and then aim at him, because what happens is, first of all, you have to perfect your centering. You have to get your centering perfect. Second of all, it's going to be very difficult to hit him while he's already pre-aiming you, because as you land like this, he's already looking at you and probably shooting you if he's a good player. So instead, what you want to do, again, very, very difficult gunfight. I'm not saying this is a guaranteed win, but what you can do instead, okay, you can line up your centering. You can just short jump. So you can do this, you can short jump. And as you land the short jump, you can kind of pre-fire him. So what you're doing is, as you're landing, okay, you're already shooting him. And that way, if you can control our techniques from earlier, like this, you can see as you land, you're actually getting a shot off before he sees you. That way, you're giving yourself the best advantage in a terrible gunfight. As I mentioned, this is such a bad gunfight. You're playing against someone on a head glitch, but in the case of emergencies, if you have to challenge someone, for example, if someone's standing right there, he's looking at you, what you can do is just do this. Just land and shoot before you even see him. The reason why is because on this game, if you land and shoot like this, you're going to get the bullet off before he does, just because of the way the cameraing works. As I mentioned, cameraing is very weird, okay? On your screen, it doesn't look too crazy, and you always think, right, why don't I just do the long jump like this? Well, the problem with the long jump like this, okay, is what happens is, as you jump around the corner like this, that extra second it takes you to get there and, like, do this, from there to here, he can actually see you. He can see you jump across, and it makes it so much easier for him to win the gunfight. So if you're jumping like this, he can see you, and you're just like, okay, this was not a good gunfight. However, if you see the opponent, like the opponent there, you see how I jump around and I'm already shooting like that? It just makes it so much easier for you to camera the opponent and win the gunfight. So that is a short jump in kind of essence. We'll go through some gameplay, and hopefully I'll give you some better examples. So you've gone through the normal jump, you've gone through the short jump. Now it's time for the long jump. When do we use the long jump? And to be honest, this is probably the jump shot that most people do by default. They do this by accident, but I'm going to show you guys when you really need to use it and why it's so beneficial in certain scenarios. Okay, so most of the time people jump around a corner like this. They go through, they run, they use the momentum and they jump to the side. Now me, like, I also do the same thing, but it's something I've learned recently that the short jump is a different way to play, and the long jump has its own reasoning and its own kind of time to use it. So when you want to use a long jump is when somebody is close to a head glitch. So let me explain this in detail. When somebody's close to the head glitch, let me take this guy out. So for example, if somebody's standing right here, okay, oh, this guy's an intruder, there you go, get out of our lobby please. So if somebody's standing right here, he can technically only see this small area in front of him, okay? Because like you can see, we can't see much, right? I can't see all the way there. So I can only see kind of what's in front of me. So as I'm strafing along, I can only see what's in front of me. What you want to do is you want to use that kind of limited vision to your advantage. Why does every bot have last stand? It's actually trolly. Bro, every single bot has last stand. So what you want to do, okay, is you want to basically be able to jump around the corner. So if I know he's there, instead of pre-aiming like this, okay, because again, he's going to be able to see me. He's going to be able to kind of see me here, so it'll be like a 50-50, and I don't want to take that. I want to take the lead. So if somebody's standing like this, they're watching me. What I want to do is I want to jump over this area. Think about it like this, okay? This opponent there can only see roughly like this. So what I want to do is I want to stretch his sight out. I want to land there. So if I go like this, I want to jump like this. That way, look where I'm standing here. I'm standing here. If my opponent is this, I have to stretch all the way to the left just to see myself. So if you can do this well, if you know somebody's standing there, I'll do this. That way, as you're jumping around the corner, you're carrying on your momentum. You're able to shoot him. As you're shooting him, you're carrying on jumping. You're going to catch him off guard. It's such a good way of kind of maneuvering around the map, especially when you know someone's close by. Again, you can use maybe natural elevation. Obviously, this is a bit of a bad scenario because somebody's like, you know, if he's that close. But let's just say somebody's standing on this head glitch here, okay? And you do the long jump. This is where it gets very difficult. If I was to do the long jump here, first of all, you can see it's very difficult for me to center onto his head. So as I jump around, I have to be very, very good at my centering. I have to really center onto his head. But even then, by the time I land, he's probably, if somebody's looking at me like this, he's probably going to see me land and get a shot off before I even land there. So what you want to do is you don't want to do it to somebody that has a little bit of distance against you. So right now, because this is technically a bit of distance, if I was approaching this gunfight, instead of doing that, I would just do this. I would snake this head glitch. Or what I would do is what we went through earlier, I would do the short jump. So you see right here, I would see the opponent there, I would do the short jump. That way, I can get the first shot off. Now, if I make him one shot, I'll carry on. If he makes me one shot, I'll disengage and go through a different position. But what you don't want to do with the long jump is you don't want to do it here, because if the opponent is there waiting for you, he's going to be able to kill you every single time. However, the close range gunfight, so this is my biggest kind of thing between the close and short range, this is where you're like, cool, let me jump across, let me go through, because by the time you jump across his screen, you're just going to absolutely camera him and absolutely destroy him. So, I know I keep saying the same point, but what you want to do, just to get this into your head, right? You want to go, if it's a short range gunfight, use a long jump. If it's a long range gunfight, use a short jump. So it's kind of like inverse. Hopefully you guys remember that, and hopefully it can help you out. Okay, let's show you some more tips and get right into the next one. So now you've seen some gameplay with the short and the long jump. Let's go through one of the other mechanics that also cameras your opponent. Now, the reason I wanted to do this one last is because it's very, very similar to the long jump, okay? What this one is going to be called is sliding. Now, you guys know what sliding is, of course. It's in basically the last few Call of Duties. But this one in this game is pretty non-existent in terms of it's not that effective, okay? But I found a way to make it very, very effective. Now, what you want to do is, remember what I told you about the long jump and the short jump? Sliding is exact same thing, but this time it pairs with the long jump. So let's go through the same example just to hopefully make it clear from earlier. At least that way we're using the same kind of examples. So this is the head glitch 1 and this is head glitch 2. This is the short gunfight. This is the long gunfight. If you're going to slide around a corner, you want to do it the same as the long jump in the short gunfight. So let's say, for example, he's at this short gunfight, okay? I didn't expect these bots to keep on trying to kill me. I can't lie. I just wanted to, like, you know, use them for a little bit and then carry on with my experiments. But these guys are not letting me stop. So let's kill this one and carry on. So what you want to do, I can't even use these bots because they're just not going to stand where I want them to. So right now, let me show you the slide for the short range gunfight. So as my opponent, again, he's looking at me. So he's probably watching this area here. He's just watching this bit here. By the way, next time I will get some live subscribers to help me out with these demonstrations. I do apologize just because this is last minute. But yeah, we'll make sure to have that for the next video. So right now, what I want to do is I want to slide across the corner. So you slide like this. Now, as I slide, you can see it's going to be difficult for him to, first of all, track my aim, especially as I'm sliding underneath this little ledge. So as he's sliding, he'll be able to get the first shot off, and I'll have to look down and get the reaction shot off. So for him, it's actually a lot easier. So what you want to do, if you see someone here, you want to slide across and maybe hip fire, or just slide across and start shooting before you see the opponent, basically. You want to slide across and go for the pre-fire, in my opinion. Just a really good way of utilizing it. So you go through, you slide, go through, go for the hip fire, and then another way to use it, kind of like an advanced slide, is as I slide, I like to jump backwards. It's really weird, but when you use it in game, it's really, really good. So I slide, then I jump backwards. That way, what he sees is as I slide, I'm tracking him, I'm going left, and he, like, the opponent will stop here and then go backwards. So again, just little ways to camera your opponents and really be in control of the gunfights, okay? Hopefully the sliding one makes sense. And it's the same thing for the kind of long range gunfight. Remember what I said about the long jump as well? If I was to slide like this, look at this. By the time I slide out, he's literally watching me. He's watching me slide out. So what's the point? You're going to be right into his crosshair. He's going to be able to get a very easy kill. So just to kind of, let's go through some little revision tips for the class. So right here, if somebody's short range, you want to use two mechanics, okay? One, the long jump and pre-fire. Second one, short slide and pre-fire, or well, ideally long slide and pre-fire. So go around the corner. Again, depends on the head glitch, depends on the scenario, but try different things. The next thing you want to do if somebody's on the long range gunfight is you actually don't want to slide, because when you slide, you're out in the open. If you do the same thing, if you do the long jump, you're out in the open and he's able to see you. What you want to do is you want to go through the short jump and pre-fire, just like that. So you see someone there, you want to jump around the corner. As you jump around the corner, you kind of want to go through and you want to kind of pre-fire. So right there, you spot him, go for a pre-fire, and you basically get that first shot off. So very, very beneficial. And those are the three main ways to camera people. This next mechanic is probably the best in the game, and you guys will know what it is. It's called snaking, okay? So let's go through the basic snake, what it is and why it's so impactful with some gameplay. So snaking is essentially you go to a head glitch like this. You basically go prone, and you essentially walk towards it, okay? So what happens is, on your screen, again, doesn't look anything too crazy. You're going through, you're kind of walking. But these bots are kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie, especially because they got last stand. It's just annoying. But you want to snake, you want to go through the box, go backwards, go forward, go backwards, and essentially you want to walk into the box, back off, go prone, walk into the box. Now that is a very, very basic way to practice, in my opinion. If you can get that underway, you'll be good to go. That's the basic thing to do with snaking, okay? All you got to do is go through, forward, back off like this, forward, back off like this. What happens is on their screen, they just can't see you. It's so broken. They literally cannot see you, and it's one of the best mechanics in the game. But what you want to do to make it a little bit more advanced, again, we'll show you some gameplay, show you from different POVs as well. What you want to do is you want to snake. Now, instead of snaking going back and forward, you want to go left and right. The reason why you want to go left and right is because that way, when you peek up, they won't be able to actually see you. They won't be able to see your head because you're going not only up and down, you're going left and right. So hopefully this guy can kill me here. Go on, there you go. So let's kind of have a look at this kill cam and see how he could see me. So look at my head right here. You can see that it's very, very difficult for him to actually see me, right? Until I stop moving, obviously. But before then, if I was able to control the gunfight, so if I was able to keep snaking, I would actually be able to control the gunfight and get the kill when I wanted to. So right here, let's say this opponent pushes me. I don't know if he will, but you go through, you snake it like this. And then whenever you're ready to engage, make sure your centering's on point. You basically go through, and then as soon as you're ready, you kind of just shoot him. Again, let's turn around so we spot the opponent in the distance. We're like, cool, who's shooting me? The guy, there you go, he's pushing me now. So you go through like this, you snake him, and then you're like, cool, let me shoot him. There you go. Hopefully we can see how it looks on the enemy's POV. I mean, this is gonna be from this side, so it's gonna be a little bit harder, but you can just see, like, I'm snaking in such a weird way that the opponent can barely see my head. So if somebody's in front of you, you want to snake, and then as soon as you're ready, you go for the shots. Now, one thing I've realized people do is when they're practicing, they practice more on the snaking, and they forget the actual reason why you're snaking is to shoot the opponent, okay? So make sure you guys don't do that. Don't just snake for the sake of it. Make sure to snake to, one, get intel. So right now, if I'm playing my life, I'm waiting for my teammates, I can snake for intel. I can snake, I can try to bait this guy in, and then as soon as I'm ready, I can go for the headshot. But the other way to snake is to actually just go for the kill. So you snake it once, go for the kill. Snake it once, go for the kill. Snake it like this. I'm snaking. As soon as I see him, go for the kill. Just try to be very deadly with your snaking, okay? Make sure to really utilize it to your advantage. I hate this mechanic. I wish it was out of the game, but unfortunately it's not. So it's my duty to show you guys why it's so broken, and hopefully one day it goes from the game. But for now, this is how you snake and why it's so beneficial. Just because the opponent can't see you, you go through, and yeah, just a very, very easy way to get those extra kills, especially on hard points with an assault rifle. I think it's so beneficial. Just snake it, pop a trophy, and literally you're good to go, man. It's just a really, really easy way to go through, get some extra kills in the game. almost there. We're almost there. And one of the last mechanics now, this is going to be the pre-fire. In my opinion, one of the most underrated mechanics in the game is the pre-fire. There you go, just like that. Again, these are bot lobbies, so don't take anything too kind of serious here. But what the pre-firing is, okay, is it's a really weird mechanic, because when you think about it, why would you pre-fire someone? If an opponent sees bullets, surely they stop moving. Well, it doesn't actually work like that. The way people run, if you run fast enough, you don't have the reaction most of the time to stop kind of running. So for example, if I'm pre-firing this guy here, most of the time the person will just carry on running. I'll show you some game examples as well, but most of the time when I'm pre-firing an opponent, they just carry on running. Even if so right now, if I hear him on my right, obviously there's radar on, if I hear him, I'll pre-fire now. And you see, as he comes around the corner, I'm already getting some shots off. Now, it's probably the best mechanic to use when you're weak, because what happens is if you're weak and somebody's going to challenge you, right now, if I was weak and somebody's going to challenge me and I'll go for the pre-fire, what happens is as he jumps around the corner, I'm actually getting 1 or 2 initial shots off to make him weak before we actually get into the gunfight. And then when we're in the gunfight, it's now 50-50. So let's go through some in-game examples and show you exactly why the pre-firing is so broken. Into tip 29. If you made it this far, well done. You've done a very, very good job. Now we're going to give you a very detailed explanation on how to manipulate spawns on hardpoint, okay? So let's break down this one clip I got in a hardpoint, which in my opinion was a very good way of kind of manipulating spawns. So as you can see, it's P2 on Fortress, right? We're basically down by 40. We've got the new hardpoint. So far, so good. Now I'm looking at the mini-map and I've realized that if we're going to get the lead here, if we're going to really take over this P2, we're going to need to hold spawns. So I'm going to sit on this truck. Now the reason I'm sitting on this truck is purely for one reason, okay? My teammates have got control of the left. I want to basically control the right. I'm actually going to open Tac Maps here to give you guys a bit more of a detailed view. Now from my current setup, I'm having an image in my head and this is what it kind of looks like, okay? So I'm number 3 at the back here. I'm basically watching the spawn. As you can see, I'm watching the back. Now looking at the minimap, my teammate just died. I have another teammate in the archers area, so around here. And then I have another teammate kind of pushing through. We have one opponent on the hill, okay? So I'm assuming that they'll be able to take care of him. My teammate spawns quite deep there. I'm assuming that number 2 can flank, you know, him and number 4. They should be able to deal with number 1, right? So I'm going to leave that to my teammates. So my job right now isn't only to just protect the spawns, it's also to protect this middle area. As you can see, okay, I'm assuming that 3 opponents are going to come through the middle. Maybe number 4 kind of sneaks through this side. That's absolutely fine. But I'm going to predict that, you know, they take a deep route here and they go for spawns, especially with 55 seconds left. It's quite a lot to play for. I'm going to assume that they're going to try to come for the spawns and try to take me out. So what I'm going to do here, okay, is I've still got my equipment to work with. I'm going to sit in a position where I can actually watch middle. So you can see I'm on a head glitch right now. And from this head glitch, I'm actually able to watch under these stairs, okay? What that's going to do is, in case this, for example, this number 4 decides to cut through this alleyway and decides to, you know, come up the stairs there, as you can see, I'll be able to see him through there. Same thing here. If number 3 decides to cut through, and say, for example, he decides to come through here, I'll be able to see him. So what you're going to see is you're going to see what I do, okay? I'm going to sit down and very, very carefully, as I'm here, I'm very, very aware that this might be the danger. So I'm being very cautious not to overcommit here. And I decided to go prone here. Now, when I go prone, all right, I actually spot my opponent in the distance coming through. So we're going to assume this is number 2. So as I spot him, I'm actually, let me just back off here and show you what just happened. So as we spot this first opponent, right, you see my teammate goes to the left. They're able to take him out, again watching over, and as soon as I spot this opponent on the right, okay, I'm like, cool, this opponent is going to push me now. I have the natural cover to my advantage, so as I go up here, I'm going to recenter right onto where I expect him to be. There you go, we get a really good kill. As soon as we get that kill, I'm looking at the kill feed, that's 4 down. So I'm going to back off, okay, because I know that this guy's dead now. Now the main area of danger is now going to be these stairs. Don't worry, we're going to get to the manipulation of spawns in just a second. So 45 seconds left there. We're just going to hold this area, and I'm looking at the mini map. My teammates have got full control of this left side. So again, for me, the danger is going to be this middle and this right, okay? So I want you guys to keep that in mind. So we're going to go through here, we're going to watch the right, and we spot the other opponent. Again, it's kind of rewind and see what happens. So we take out the first guy. I'm going to be using my kind of sound cues here. We're going to be watching over the middle, and constantly we're going to check in the right side. So we go through, we hear somebody on the right, we go through, we take him out. Again, really good centering. We're able to take him out. With my teammates getting another 2 kills now, I'm going to assume that the opponents are going to be in this area here. So let's kind of clean this up just slightly for you guys. So we're going to go through where the blue team, again, I'm assuming that the red team's going to be coming through here. So what that says to me is if I can push out slightly, I'll be able to get a bit more control and be able to have a nice shot on them. Now, with about 25 seconds left, what I really want, my ideal situation will be my teammates pushing through the left and basically just one of them on the hill. My teammates pushing through, going for spawns. And in an ideal world, right, if I can somehow get these kills here, again, this is very ideal for me. This is a perfect scenario. If I can get these kills here and they spawn behind me and I push out, we can then flip the spawn. So my ideal situation right now will be to give them the spawns here. Again, look at the time left, okay? Not right now. I'm talking about in about 10 seconds, right? With about 25 seconds left, this is what I want. I want them to be spawning here, and I want maybe 2 of us to set up at the new hardpoint, and then 2 of my teammates to kind of watch the back. That way, we're going to be fighting for scrap time, and then we also have P3 setup, which we all know is a very, very good hold in this game. So we're going to go through, and that's exactly what I do. I go through, we get a nice kill there, we take out the first player, going to back off, as I mentioned, right? I'm going to push through. I'm expecting them to be back here, so I back off to get a nice angle. We go through, we chuck our equipment there, we take out one, we take out the second, okay? We see 2 more people, and now I'm like, right, cool. 25 seconds left. If I can just hold this, like, aggression for a second and really get them to push me, this will be really good. So this is where I think I make the play, and this is where I really manipulate the spawns, okay? We go through, watch this, I push through, and I'm actually hoping right now, my biggest hope, okay, instead of kind of pushing through here like I planned, I'm actually backing off through the hard point, and I'm really hoping that they chase me and they end up here. My end goal is still the same. I still want them to end up here. So we're going to go through, I'm going to hope they chase me, we're going to constantly push through, going to go across, chuck a trophy system, and now straight away I get shot from behind, and this is absolutely perfect. As I approach this area here, my teammates are doing exactly what I want. They're pushing through, they're going towards the next hard point, and the plans worked perfectly. I turn around and there's actually an opponent right behind me. They're able to kind of push through, and now I'm going to snake this. With 15 seconds left, I'm able to manipulate the spawns by myself. They've been able to push through, and now they're in a terrible spot. Again, these are diamonds, these are crimson players. Very, very good plays. We go through, we take out one, gonna back off. Now with 10 seconds left, you know, my teammate's still here. Ideally, he leaves me, doesn't need to be here. But the main kind of the bigger picture right now is that my teammates have got the spawns, and this is a perfect scenario. We go through, we get the second, and just like that, not only do we get the scrap time, my teammates are also able to get P3 as well. So just a really good way of manipulating spawns into the next tip. We finally made it, clip number 30. In this clip, I just want to say thank you guys for watching the video, and this is going to be the final clip. You want to use your natural cover to your advantage. So basically, every time you find a scenario where you have natural head glitches or anywhere where it's a bit difficult to fight, okay, you want to use that natural cover to your advantage. As you see in this clip, we're able to break the hill and get a 6-piece in the process. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please drop a like, it helps out massively, and I'll catch you guys in another video tomorrow. Peace.